Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is your host Moses Miller Mayat, and this is Amateur Thinking. What we have for you here today is the thing, what if I'm attacked? Especially when we are talking with regards to why we are terrorized by terrorists or why we end up going to war to fight against terror. So when you're trying to come up with a solution, a general solution to help mitigate the fighting by suggesting that we have to end all wars and to end the manufacture of weapons and end research in weapons and so on. If you suggested that, usually the first question that you are asked, the first question you are asked is, what if I am attacked? Now, in answering that question, I would like us to draw our attention to some of the attacks that have happened in our history. One of the worst examples of attacks that have happened in our history was when Africa was attacked during slavery, during slave trade. Over 100 million lives were lost. Other parts in the world that were attacked under similar circumstances were India, and obviously the United States of America under the Red Indians. And then Africa was attacked again. Then it was colonized. And then with the colonialism, and then plus with apartheid in South Africa, for example, segregation. So we have seen horrible acts of attack against countries or continents like Africa, for example. And I'm not in any way excusing those horrible acts, but I can be strategically lenient in the sense that despite all these attacks on Africa, we are still here. So you cannot be worried about an attack if some of the worst attacks that have ever happened in our history, the people of those countries are still here. Africa, we are still here. So nobody should be worried about attacks in that sense. So we do understand these attacks happened. Again, like I have said, I'm not excusing them whatsoever, but I can be prepared to be strategically lenient. Because at the end of the day, a few things were achieved as a result of those attacks. Just like I said, it was wrong to happen, completely wrong. But I can be lenient. I can be prepared to be lenient. So because of our achievements, collective achievement in history, there is no need for any further attacks against one another. Most of the attacks today are based on carelessness and just on egoistic basis. If you take the last wars that have happened, Gaddafi, September 11th, Saddam Hussein, a lot of it was ego-based. These people were just stubborn. There was no element of anything that they were actually fighting for other than just protecting an ego and just carelessness. Just like I've said in our history, as we have seen, we've been able to find whatever it is we've been fighting for. At least we have the gist of it. We have the gist of what we've been fighting for. And what we have been fighting for was machines, the invention of machines and technology. We now have the gist of it. And obviously, those machines and those technologies have improved our economies. And as a result of the improvement in those economies in some countries in the world, those countries have achieved the essence of freedom. But it's not absolute freedom yet. It's only a few countries in the world who have this essence of freedom. So those two major things have been achieved. We have achieved a comprehensive understanding of how to make machines within our technologies in terms of computers and everything else that is around technology. And that in turn has helped us to improve our economies, some of the economies in the world. And those economies have enabled us to achieve this essence of freedom. It's not absolute, like I've said. But at least we understand it. So because we have achieved these things, these two fundamental things that I've mentioned, there's no need for us to attack each other. There's no need for attack, because the two things that we've been looking for, which we didn't have, technology in machines, which gave us good economies, and those good economies gave us this essence of freedom. So we know what we want. We know the scope already. Having said that, I want us to try and understand what the mind of the attacker has always been like, or what it seems to be like. Based on this idea of judicial killing, or no, it's not an idea, sorry. Based on this thing that we judicial killing, if I may give it just a brief description. What I mean by that is, a terrorist goes to his law-abiding body, they seek permission from either God or from whatever it is they believe in, or their government, and then they go and wage their terrorist attack. So does the soldier who goes to fight against the terrorist. He also goes to his war, he goes to his law, the parliament in other words, and then the parliament gives him permission to go to war, to fight against the terrorist. And that's how come each of them think they are legitimate. But according to this discussion, they're both wrong. So, how did it start? Obviously, it started because we were constrained with things like limited resources, people wanting good housing, good economies, and so on. People wanting to live for at least 120 years and so on. So because of that, because we are fighting to achieve that, we have ended up finding illegal ways of killing each other. But one thing that mind brings forth is, if it is versed with a choice between something that is easy to do and something that is rather difficult, but it being the best, that mind will always choose the easy fix. So every time you spot a situation where there is a choice between an easy fix and the best fix, that mind usually will choose the easy fix. And this reminds me of before slavery started, where the population was less than 1 billion people at the time. If they had taken the hard route to say, look, we're going to make sure that we look after everybody. If the clever minds at the time took the tough decisions to make sure they look after everybody, all the problems we are suffering from today, we wouldn't be in it. We wouldn't be fighting. This world would be one of the best places to live in. But because those people at the time, they chose the easy fix rather than the best fix. They chose to enslave people. They chose to attack countries. They chose to rob countries. Where are we now? We're still in the same problems. Over 700 years. Ever since 700 years until now, we're still having the same problem over and over again. Now, the other attribute which this mind has is for coming up with false claims. They always come up with false claims. Things like, oh, every time they are faced with a problem, they will say, oh, it's God who said it should be like that. Or they will come up with a problem in science. They'll say, we have proved it scientifically. It must be like that. They will always come up with lies. Now, I've got 2 pointers on this about where they come up with claims regarding God. Now, you imagine, God, Almighty. This is the all-powerful, the all-omniscient, the creator of heaven and earth. He's got everything. Now, God is the one who created life. He can create it. He can take it away himself. Why does he have to choose you to come and take away somebody else's life? So you see how these people tell lies to us, to say, oh, it's God who has said. If God somebody, he'll do it himself. He doesn't need you to do it for him. He's all powerful. Why does he need your help to kill somebody? He has never needed your help to create that person. Why is he going to need your help to take him away? So that's one of the clear example of where they use lies about God. Say it's God who say. No. And then they say it's God who told them. Yeah, if God is on your side, like the way it's said in the United States of America in their second amendment, the right to bear arms. It's God-given right to bear arms. Why didn't you ask God for other valuable things? You're asking him for guns. The Almighty, the Creator of heaven, he created everything. You're asking him for guns. Ask him for other wealth. And indeed, if you did ask him, he'll give you it. You don't need guns. You don't need to go attacking people. You know, both the suicide bomber and the terrorist, they are both wrong. You ask God for peace. You ask God for no war. God will give you that. Not for you to get guns and go killing people. That was the first point. The second point, again, within our academics, you know, they come up with lies which have got bits of evidence. You know, sometimes in research, if there are gaps missing, if you fit it with your own personal narrative, sometimes people go along with it. After all, you're the one who's doing the research and nobody questions it, usually. Sometimes. And especially if it is benefiting people. So like in this case where we have compared ourselves with vicious animals, like lions, to say, oh, survival for the fittest. The tougher lion, the tougher animal, it's the big one, you know. And then we symbolize our wars using the way animals do. But let me show you a few differences between us and animals. First of all, vicious animals like tigers and lions, they have no way of predicting where they are going to get their next meal, because they do not control the birth rates of their food, the gazelle or whatever it is they eat. It's completely random. So it was necessary for nature to give them natural weapons, to make them vicious in order to survive, because they don't have a way to predict. Whereas as humans, we can predict where our next meal is going to come from. I've briefly told you how we have been successful in our technologies. We are very good in farming. It's not yet all over the world, but at least we have a score of it, of good farming. So even if we are faced with things like droughts, low rainfalls and so on, depending on how we farm, we can beat those natural disasters if we work together. Animals can't do that. So why do you compare yourself with an animal, a lion, to start? Then those animals have natural weapons. As humans, we don't have natural weapons. You don't have a natural weapon. Nature selected you deliberately not to have a natural weapon. It's for a reason that you don't have natural weapons. So why do you use this ability to make things? Why do you use that ability in a bad way? To make weapons instead? Then, with these animals that have got natural weapons, the fact that they have natural weapons in itself, nature used that. Look into it seriously, you see, to minimize genocide. Usually when two lions are fighting, death can only occur between the two of them. The two fighting lions. There's no genocide because they don't make weapons. Whereas as humans, every time we go to war, millions and millions of people die. It's always genocide. So this business of us accepting it within our academia, to accept some of these lies, that's bad. That's really sad. So the third point I have for you here is, maybe And just maybe, we are not aware of other possible options. For example, having a no-war situation, you think about it, is just as good, if not better, a commodity on the market than war. So why don't we instead sell no war? Because if you sell war, that means you have to sell weapons, and then that means you have to sort of create the war to happen, so that you're able to sell weapons, and then that results into deaths. That is one way we have done it for the last 1,000 years. What about if we sell no war? It's a commodity as well. Why can't we sell it? Why not? So the only reason I see why we are not doing it is because we are locked. And this is one example of where we are locked within our own, where we are held hostage by some of our economic systems. This is the other example. There's no reason. I don't see no reason why we cannot sell no war. We have succeeded in doing so many wonderful things in this world. I'm sure 100%, 150%, 200% sure we can be successful in selling no war situation. I know maybe somebody might think, oh, you mean to pay, like the way we pay soldiers. We pay them to, not as peacekeepers. A few things will need to be tweaked around, but it will be of similar things. But meaning we don't have to make weapons. The more there is peace, the more money, whoever those people who are responsible for that thing, the more money it is they get. So dogma, we are being held behind or being held hostage by dogma, by our own beliefs, because they've been working for many, many years, and because it benefits a few people, they find it difficult to change. So the fourth thing I've got with you here is, in understanding the attacker's mind, is that usually the attacker is very intelligent. They're very, very intelligent people. They don't have low IQs, less than 150, probably more. Think about September 11th. That wasn't done by people with low IQ. And even those who retaliated, who caused the wars again, they also had high IQ. So you wonder, what is the purpose of having a good IQ when there is nothing good that comes out of it? We've been fighting this war against terror for the last, coming to 20 years now. What have we achieved? Nothing. The place is completely malignant, with the possibility of people to be indoctrinated as terrorists. The place is malignant with war, with the possibility of war everywhere. So what is the purpose of our good genes, of our IQ, you people who say, oh, you've got good genes? What's the purpose of all that? When the solution of making this world a better place for everybody is not coming forth, then that means there's something wrong we are doing. We need to change a few things. I've already mentioned that these people are very conniving. They've got lies, lots of lies and falsities. And sometimes they force you to believe what it is they believe. And if you don't, you somehow get penalized within the society for not believing what it is they believe. And as we shall see, that is scandalous. You can't just force a belief on people, For example, religious cruelties, things which are obviously bad. You force them on somebody. Oh, if you don't follow this day, that means you're not patriotic. That is a scandal. You see? Then, obviously, they also usually think that they are superior. They think they've got more rights. Maybe that's why they start wars. They think, oh, when we start this war, it's not going to affect me. Oh, because I'm going to hide in a bunker. And you think about most of those leaders who have been eventually caught. They thought they were going to hide in a bunker, but they caught them. So what was the point of you perpetuating a war when eventually they thought, Hitler thought he was going to go in a bunker to hide in there. Saddam Hussein. everywhere in the world, all the leaders, they think, even the current leaders today, they think, oh, if anything goes wrong, we're going to oxygen masks and everything, we're going to hide somewhere. No. Why? There's no need for you to hide when you can create a situation where there's no war. It's very possible in this 21st century. Because the original reasons, as I have said, why I can be lenient, I'm not excusing it, but I can be strategically lenient for why we could have gone to war. Because the two major things which we've been looking for, we have achieved them. In this 21st century, we have the test of it. We have fully achieved the detail of technology, machines and technology. Fully done. And then secondly, we have also achieved the essence of freedom. And by that I mean where you live life knowing that you're not at the mercy of another man. That's what I mean by freedom. But there are certain places in the world today, even in the United States of America, where if you're there, there is no freedom because you are at the mercy of somebody else's, of another human being. That human being can take your life away. That means there is no freedom. But there are some places in the world where it doesn't matter where you are in that part, you will feel the essence of freedom because your life is not at the mercy of another man. That's what I mean by the essence of freedom. Those people usually, that mind usually references death or to kill people as part of the solution. Then they rely on artificial weaponry, things like poisons, chemical weapons. Recently, one high-ranking official of Russia was poisoned. They like things like that. They use things like that. Poison, or juju, or guns, nuclear. They've got this affinity to kill. Every time they have a problem, they think, oh, they want to kill somebody. When they are vast between a choice between their ego and for so many different people, for a number of people to die, they would rather the people die than them to douse their ego. They're usually full of fear. And even me, for example, I'm one of the reasons why I'm doing all this is because I've also got fear. But it's a different fear from their fear. Their fear is almost abstract. Whereas the fear of death by another man is very tangible in this age that we live in, because there is possibility for war and things like that. So there is a difference. I will go into the detail of the difference between those fears in another video. There is this element of contracting people to kill other people, mercenaries, that sort of thing. Then I've also highlighted misunderstandings, and we will discuss it in a different video. The fifth point here is maybe that mind has an illness, like an obsession, which is an illness. But the society does not see, or the society does not diagnose that problem. Instead, the society praises it. And those people, the attackers, they're usually few. But because within their reach, they've got weapons that can amplify death, that becomes the problem. They're very few, but within their reach, they have a tool that can amplify death, that can cause masses to die. I've already said this, the attacker and the defender, they're both wrong. Because they both hold one view. When a suicide bomber is being indoctrinated, he's being indoctrinated to see only one view without seeing an alternative view. And that is where the scandal is. You cannot allow anybody to hold only one view. You cannot force somebody to hold only one view. That is a scandal. That's bad. We've been doing that we do it everywhere, even our soldiers. We don't allow them to have an alternative view. That's wrong. You have to give him an alternative. You can't give him only one view, as though that is the only thing that is possible. No, that's wrong. They only hold one view without exhausting other possible views, and like I've said, that is scandalous. And for defense, therefore, for their defense to be successful, they wear the attacker's mind in that holding that same view. Oh, I want to kill you. I want to kill you. Even the other person is holding the same view. I want to kill you. That same one view without holding other possible options. That makes the defender by default an attacker. So in other words, defense is a form of attack because of that holding one viewpoint without exhausting other possible viewpoints. Finally speaking, I'm sorry to bore you, that this mind obviously has not, because of the way this mind has operated, it has given us a lot of problems with the essence of freedom. We haven't yet succeeded in having absolute freedom because this mind, because of that mind, because we're perpetually in war, killing one another and so on, we cannot have absolute freedom, and yet absolute freedom is very possible. So in other words, sometimes you can be at the mercy of another man. Your life can be in the hands of another man. And that's wrong. He didn't create you. How can you be at his mercy? And then also, we are working hard. We do work hard. Everywhere you go in the world, we work hard 7 days every week. But what do we get? Nothing. Not much. We work 7 days every week. And we still have problems. You see? So we should now we are living in an era where we should start reaping the fruits of our hard work. We've really worked hard for the last 700 years. All of us, those of us who have been attacked, and the attackers and so on, all of us together as one big family, one human family. We've worked really hard. 7 days every week. We work for 7 days. Everywhere you go in the world, people are working. And what we have achieved out of it so far? Nothing. There's no absolute freedom here. There is a little bit of it in a few places, but not everywhere. Yes, you see. The other things, which again we will talk about, things like where we have legislation that hide those important tools, the machines, things like intellectual property, they hide it deliberately. Now, how do you expect me to produce food if you are hiding the tractor away from me? How am I going to produce food? You at least give me the technology of how to make the tractor. Then when you ask for food, I can give you the food will be there. Now we are running short of food. You say, oh, the world doesn't have enough food and so on. Yeah, because you're hiding the tractor. People want to work. You're hiding the technology to make a tractor. Then there's not enough food. Then you complain. In the world. Oh, there's drought here. Oh, there is famine going on. Yeah, of course. Because this mind is hiding things. They are scared of things. They're hiding things. So, thanks very much for listening. This has been your host, Moses Milamayad. I do apologize if I've made some mistakes, but you can imagine I'm a bit passionate. I do apologize once again. Please contribute. Let's be part of making our world a better place. It's very possible. It's very, very possible. It's very, very possible.